Yo, what it do? What it be? It's your boy A&T, repping the game gang. You know we don't play none of that. If you a lame, you can't hang. All of that, bang, bang. And I'm coming back with another one of my POVs of history. And as y'all know, history is filled with legendary war heroes and conquerors alike. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing the legacy of a real killer, forilla, a cat pillar, none other by the name of Attila the Hun. And to be truthful with y'all, not much is really known about Attila or the Hunnic people that he commanded, but stories of the Huns' brutality and Attila's cunning war tactics, they've gained almost a mythological status in ancient Germanic folklore. But I'm going to look past the scary facade of Attila's legacy and attempt to understand not just Attila the Hun, but gain insight into Attila the man. Now, not much is, like I said before, not much is really known about the Huns and Attila's history, mostly because the Huns didn't really have their own language. They spoke multiple languages from the tribes that they conquered, such as the Germanic Goths and the Burgundian people, they're not the same Burgundians who were fighting in the 100 Years' War in Britain. Completely different Burgundians. But if the Huns had their own written language, it's been lost to history for the most part. And given that their language has been lost, most of what we know about Attila and the Huns come from third-party sources, either from tribes that fought alongside the Huns or eventually became the Huns, or they come from the Romans who fought both for and against the Huns, depending on which side of the empire you on and which area you were in. But with that being said, Attila's exact birthday, even his birthday, is unknown, and really not much is known about his early childhood. Our knowledge of the origins of the Huns is just as hazy. We don't know much about them as a society, but we do know that they were a nomadic tribe from the steppe region of Eurasia, and they could do two things: that's ride horses and shoot bows. They used both of these skills to become fearsome warriors and conquer other tribes in their area. Now, they originated, like I said, somewhere in the steppe region of Eurasia, it's the same area where this famed Silk Road was located, and several other successful tribes and dynasties have originated in this area throughout history. And according to European sources, the Huns migrated to Europe as a power struggle between the ancient Iranian Aryan tribes and the ancient Goths had kind of forced a migration of several tribes around 250 AD, give or take. And about 100 years later, around 370 AD, the Huns crossed the Volga River into Europe just outside of Roman territory. And their arrival and their subsequent conquest of the smaller tribes outside of the Roman territories led other tribes to migrate into Roman borders. And this may have been another contributing factor to the fall of Rome, but honestly, damn near anything and everything the Huns did, whether blatant or indirectly, would kind of undermine the Roman Empire, especially when Attila got into power. But even before he took over leadership of the Huns, they were a known threat to the Romans and known as fierce warriors on the other side of the Volga River. Now, again, not much is known about the Huns' society and how they functioned as a hierarchy or how it was structured, really, aside from them being nomadic. It is known that Attila's father and Attila's uncles were leaders of the Huns before Attila. Not much is really known about them or how leaders were chosen in Hunnic culture, though. After Attila's uncles were killed in separate military campaigns, Attila and his brother took over the United Hun Empire around 435 AD. So, after Attila and his brother Bleda got put in charge, the Romans and the Huns struck a deal. They kind of struck a little treaty where Roman traders would trade with the Huns, and the empire would pay 8 pieces of gold for every Roman prisoner the Huns had. In exchange, the Huns would rape and pillage anyone except the Romans. That was the real deal. So Attila and his bro tried to invade the Persian Empire for the next 5 years. Except it was here that the Huns learned the age-old lesson of fuck around and find out. And the Persians, they were not fucking around, and they handed Attila and his bro their first L and ran the Huns the fuck out of Persia. And it's not like the Huns and the Romans were BFFs during this whole period either, but thanks to Attila and the Huns helping the Romans against the Goths and the Burgundians and other insurrections within the empire, a Roman by the name of Aetius became close with Attila, and Aetius and the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire, Theodosius, they knew having the Huns on their side was cheaper and safer than having them as enemies. This loose peace treaty was a nice little extortion racket for a while, not only just for the Huns, but like I said, the Roman leaders would have rather been extorted than slaughtered, which honestly makes sense to me. But this quote-unquote peace, it only lasted until around 440 AD. Keep in mind, that number 440, it's around the same time that the Huns got, marched the fuck out of Persia. So, naturally, they needed somebody else to try and conquer. So, a Roman bishop was supposedly caught by Huns stealing artifacts from burial sites of dead Huns. Now, this led an infuriated Attila and the Huns to march down on a Roman trading center and start raising hell. And for the next 2 years, Attila and the skilled Huns, they galloped down on the Roman Empire on horseback, sacking any city in their way until Aetius struck a deal with Attila to give him even more golden gifts. So fast forward to 444 AD. Attila and his brother get into like a little skirmish or something happens, and that ended with Attila killing his own brother. And now there are contradicting stories of who tried to kill who first, but Attila came out the winner, obviously, and after he killed his brother, he was the sole leader of the Hunnic Empire. So with Attila being the undisputed king of the Huns, he set his sights back on conquering anything that wasn't the Roman Empire. Except, in 450 AD, he set his sights on conquering the Visigoths' homeland of Gaul, which was a part of the Western Roman Empire. So, Aetius, Attila's once good friend, Aetius played the reverse Uno card, and he convinced the Goths to put their hate for the Romans aside to try and come together and fight the Huns. So they let the Huns walk into Gaul, where, of course, the burning and pillaging started. But then Attila and his forces marched into the fortified city of Orleans, and they activated the Romans' trap card. Attila and his men actually retreated this time, and the Romans and Goths ran down on them and gave them even more casualties than any other army had before, even more than the Persians, yo. And then both sides retreated to their respective homes, thinking the shit was over for now. Like they knew the Huns were gonna be back and knew they should start preparing for it. But I mean, the Huns were pretty down bad right here, and like I said, it didn't deter Attila either. Attila retreated back to Hungary and began planning another assault, this time on the eastern side of the Roman Empire. Now, Attila tried to extort the Romans again, and the Romans pretty much said, fuck off. Like, bro, you want this money? You better come get this shit, bro. We ran down on you last time. Now you trying to extort us? That's crazy, bro. Your name ain't no good in these streets no more, fam. You got to get your rep up. But what the Romans didn't understand was that Attila was a regulator. And he wasn't going for none of that goofy shit. So Attila decided he had to mount up and regulate any stealing of his property. And he was damn good too. And he had to show the Romans that playing with his gold was like playing with his emotions. The principalities of the situation led to casualties for anybody perpetrating, you dig? Don't let me forget that despite Attila's motivations of revenge and natural hatred of Rome, what drove him against the Romans, what was another driving factor, he was also simping hard as fuck for this bitch named Honoria. And despite her name being one letter away from an STD, Attila was smitten with shorty. She also happened to be the sister of the Emperor Valentinian, of the people he was trying to invade. So she was one of the reasons Attila tried invading the first time, but Honoria was already married off to someone else. So Attila said that if y'all ain't gonna give me her, I'ma come get her. And gold was kind of secondary. Attila was thirsty, you feel me? And at first, Attila sent a letter demanding Honoria and half of Italy as tribute. That's when Valentinian said, bro, SMD, suck my dick, pussy. I won't even let you get the chance, dummy. And Attila decided to invade again in 452 AD. Now, this conquest was far more successful this time. Attila did just as he said. He raped and pillaged his way into Italy and was about to set his sights on Rome. Now, at this point, his army had plundered so much, it impacted how fast they could move. And while Attila was in Italy, he accepted a visit from the Pope. Now, Not much is really known about exactly what they talked about, but it led to Attila and his army leaving Italy and going back to Hungary. He left without honoria, and not long after he left, he married a young Hun woman, and they got married in 453 AD. And the night of the marriage ceremony, Attila fell asleep and never woke up. He drowned in his own blood. He ruptured an artery in his throat that just eventually ruptured from years of drinking. It was nothing like nobody stabbed him or nothing like that. No foul play. He literally just drowned in his own blood, unfortunately. And Attila's death was a huge moment of rejoice for the Romans and everybody else in that area, because Attila was allegedly planning, like I said, another invasion of the Eastern Roman Empire, and he died before it could come into fruition. His death, it also led to the collapse of the Hunnic Empire. Not even 20 years after, like, no leader of the Huns could replace Attila in 20 years. There was no such thing as a Hun. And despite his negative and barbaric image in Romans' perspectives, in Germanic, Gothic, and Balkan lore, and of course in Hungary, Attila is regarded as a heroic and at times mythological figure in history. His infamy in Roman lore and legendary status in his homeland cements Attila's legacy as a legend of history. No doubt, no cap, no gown. And before I hit the outro, just think, if Attila conquers Rome and Italy and all them, and he takes over what is the Roman Empire, Western civilization as we know it today is drastically changed to a point of it would be unrecognizable, in my opinion, the kind of butterfly effect Attila the Hun actually succeeding in taking over the Roman Empire would have had. But for some odd mystery, it never happened. And I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I got an Alexander the Great video and a Genghis Khan video to drop next. Hope y'all stay tuned for that. If y'all want to stay tuned, they are dropping soon, so go ahead and hit the subscribe and ring the damn bell so y'all don't miss none of this hot content. Like I said, I got dropping real soon here. Y'all be safe. It's been your boy A&T, repping the game gang. Y'all see me playing a little bit of Tekken 8. You know, I be getting work, but you know, I be putting in that work too. You see me, I got these hands with you. I don't do none of that kicking shit, bro. I catch the fade. You motherfuckers really don't want to fight though, type shit. But no, I'm just playing. Y'all be safe. Like I said, don't get smoked. Don't get beat up. None of that. I'm out, y'all. Peace.